Mohan.
Connor.
And everybody tuning in to the C stream. Blast Pro Series Istanbul.
Man, I was wearing this traditional Turkish garb. I really wanted to show everybody.
We had a whole bit prepared.
Yeah, we had audio men in here, and I couldn't show you.
Listen, folks, sometimes we do things on the fly. And that's what this pistol round's going to be. Space Soldiers versus NiP, obviously on Mirage. And we've got 2 kills already. It's a 3-man situation for NiP. They've got themselves the plant, sure, so some kind of a win thus far in the pistol. But how much more, really? It is nice that they've gotten themselves these couple of kills. It's still into the hands of Space Soldiers. You'd still think they can get this retake rolling. The problem being, of course, is they've actually now lost a lot of health on one of their 3 remaining guys. Speaking of losing things, though, Lekro goes down, and he would really need to stay up in that moment because Rez is nowhere to be found. And despite the bomb being planted for him, he has 16 health. The timing's going to be figured out right here with eyes towards connector, and that's a pistol round done.
Yeah, it was an open plant, but I think even if he made that big flank, the bomb wasn't planted optimally, and we saw Calyx abusing the triple box because they knew that no one was A-Ramp or Palace. So going all the way around, a great idea. Lekro staying alive maybe would have been able to help them seal it in, but he would have even still had a hard time having to peek versus 3 people on the site. So up until the end of the round, it seemed like Space Soldiers had great control of things, and I really like that they went for they went to make sure that they killed the player playing stairs. I think that was the big one in that round. Now we're gonna have the anti-eco, the smoke coming out over the triple box. It's a good way to line it up just to be consistent on the A-ramp smoke. It's a smoke that we often overlook just because of how simple it is to throw, but you want to make sure that it doesn't extrude too much and make it so that T's can kind of sneak out of A-ramp versus someone in CT spawn watching it.
Ooh, Major's head has been spotted. Get right. Gonna just creep his way through connector for the time being. Perfectly fine. He's not going to be able to find any kills until he actually gets eyes inside of the window. Xantares has his attention turned this way, so even with the element of surprise, it's the firepower clearly stacking up here to the Space Soldiers' favor. Dennis, as good as he may be with pistols, can't do much about that.
No problem at all for Space Soldiers, not losing a single member that round. And in terms of money spent here, they've already converted what looks like 1 AK. They're going to hang on to their FAMASes. NiP are going to be fully well aware of all of the options they have at their hands right now, and I don't think that Space Soldiers have to do anything too funky in these first 15 seconds. I think we're seeing a top mid smoke come out from CT spawn a little bit delayed. The rush into A is actually going to get beasted. Lekro comes out with a deagle, immediately taking out Major.
Yeah, it's a bit of a message, right? No aggression here for you. At least, however, there is that next layer of defense for Space Soldiers, so even despite the push not going well, they are able to retrieve themselves this situation. Now we do have that deep Molotov forward. Forrest still trying to use the pistol to the best of his abilities. However, nobody offers up their head, and that's a strong CT presence coming in from Space Soldiers. They are very much kerneled up in the defense. Get Right starts to pop them, and he does fall down. So now, both these T's closer to the site, and we get this little bit of a reposition from Space Soldiers. 2 in on window, now cut down to 1. But it is Xantares. And if we're talking stars, you're speaking his name. He's looking, waiting, and trying to figure out where the hell NiP got off to, because Mohan, they've disappeared.
Very formidable angle for Get Right to spot CT spawn. And Xantares had a small window of opportunity where it would have been very unexpected for him to peek. Now he's made his first bit of noise jumping out. That's actually activated Paz to move from the CT box and check further into the site, leaving just Rez to lurk around now and come back from a 1v2 situation.
As long as Paz doesn't keep his back exposed to CT spawn, it's going to be pretty tricky for Rez to head that way, but he whiffs the jump, and that would have been perfect. He could have got himself all the way up catwalk, right into the B site with an easy plant. But now, because he missed that jump, the pressure is on, and you see how much closer the rotations are for Space Soldiers. I'm not saying he had much of a chance to win this round, but he definitely had a chance to plant the bomb, which has now just been denied. And you think about it, force bylonders, that money would have been very important.
Yeah, and Xantares made a really good rotate there, going underpass, where you get to clear out B apps. There's also a big flank 2B, and you also know early on if you do die versus, say, Rez coming up the ladder the long way to B, that it's going to be the B site, making it easier in the 1v1 for your teammate. Xantares with a great spray, doing almost 250 damage, it looked like. even through the jungle smoke. And there's Paz killing Get Right, who was instrumental in that round for NiP. Even though they were playing from a disadvantage, it seems like they were about to make waves. So now we move into another eco round. Space Soldiers off to a hot start, obviously. Calyx spotting to the back of B, and he knows that there's a person there now, but he's also got a teammate in the site.
With the first one, a little bit of a delay here between the footsteps of NiP, and therefore the 1v1s have both been shut down. Get Right in Forest, the remaining ninjas. Eating frags at the moment, but luckily gets past, so no further damage done. Xantares, though, however, is still just going to put a bullet in the back of his brain. Dropping bomb, getting the info, and how's that happen? Well, Xantares is a bit of a slippery fish and snuck his way between the two.
Yeah, we're seeing him on the other side of the map now. This is a player who's been getting around in terms of making hasty rotations, and because they're on the anti-eco, and although they have more to lose, it's a pretty low risk play to be able to do this when they have this much information. As we can see, Calyx taking first contact, spotting that there are a bunch of players that clearly want to hit B and are not going to be focused on somebody flanking through underpass. And now we're back into the second rifle round of the match. Get Right moving slowly into Palace, knowing that Engine has been here before. Engine obviously coming out with a deeper angle and coming out ahead in that fight.
Legro's going to try to use a bit of timing here towards the bottom of connector, maybe. But no, he will decide to just creep a little longer. It's interesting to see NiP on the T side of Mirage. In the last 4 times that they've won this map, of course, each and every one of those T sides had a minimum of 8 rounds. It was only Team Liquid who was able to shut down their offense. Being at that face in Major just recently. Space Soldiers now fielding a full roster. What could have been is what could be unfolding. But unfolding now slowly. We've hit that minute mark. Xantares, soon the smoke will fade. Could be refurbished. He does get a kill just as Major tries to pull the attention towards connector. That deep smoke could be allowing NiP to set up fully inside this portion of the map. And just as they could have bursted forward, they've decided to back off. They'll move up catwalk instead. They'll get 1 step closer to the B-bomb site, currently being defended by Calyx and a teammate just behind the bench. Now the Molotov, this screws their timing. Excellent utility usage just now from Space Soldiers.
Very patient with it, and Space Soldiers towards the middle of this round just contained like a bunch of goldfish in a bowl, and Xantares coming in at the end, as he has been doing, leaving Rez now in the 1v4. Just praying for a mistake. With the time running so low, he's in enemy territory.
Headshot drops him. This is another great, convincing round from Space Soldiers, whereby their losses are minimal, Wanders. We haven't seen a round, other than the second, where they've lost more than 1 person.
This
is a fantastic start.
Yeah, I mean, your money only matters up until the end of the first half, and we're not even halfway through. So they've got plenty of use for it. You can burn through the money really quickly, but for NiP, they haven't even proven they can win a single round, let alone the 3 that it'll take probably now for Space Soldiers to have to save. Setting up for a fast execute. Good time to probably change the tempo. Paz will be the first man standing.
Flashbang, not going to assault it right away, but Paz can't make the most of the opportunity. Still, the kills begin to trickle in as you get headshots. Gunray, sure enough, tries to throw a wrench into the works, and it does distract Calyx for long enough for him to be traded out. Major, the Opper up close. Pops also the shotgun, apparently. A gut punch into Lekro and a 6th round for Space Soldiers. This CT side shows no signs of stopping.
I don't see any flaws, really. There's great rotations coming in. We saw how quickly they got into the B site, even though they had 2 in B, and we had our Paz get 2 players right away. He got the info so early, the rotations could come in, and even though Calyx died in the site to the CZ right after him without trading, it didn't matter. Now, Major getting in the site, hitting that flick was a huge reason they're able to win. Major now moving into the window, throwing a Molotov in the corner, and as many of us know, that is simply to try to make a smoke plume early and have it so that he has line of sight, but there won't be any enemies at mid just yet.
Smokes will be trying to isolate Xantares, currently the heaviest hitter on 14 frags. He's been doing a fantastic job. He will still be there if the defense falls, but thus far, it stands strong and tall. Lekro finally getting himself something to work with, tries to isolate the player behind the box, but luckily Get Right gets the best of him. It was that Palace peak that definitely just allowed NiP to keep 3 players standing, to keep this one even keel. And while everybody's stagnated just outside of ramp, it seems like Get Right will still take the responsibility of the forefront. But another missed jump. He could have peeked 2 CTs. They're going to go off the pop flash, and it's nearly interrupted. Great trade from Xantares, and an awful team flash, but luckily it costs them nothing further. Now it's off the timing. Waiting for the grenades to be thrown out yet again. This is nice. This was a great little creep. They've shown no sign as to why they would be here until the bomb sound is heard. And Rez takes a duel just in that instance, puts it on Xantares, and it is 12 health left for Rez. A terrifying situation for him with this man in front. A clutch that could very easily go his way. The bomb not planted for ramp whatsoever either. So this is not going to make the job of Rez any easier. He's going to have to rush forward, you'd think. And he's not even going to make the play. Big balls on Xantares, and he'll get the kill as well.
He knew because he moved into that 1v2 so quickly, there was a limited amount of spots that Rez was playing. Once he saw the bomb was planted default, he obviously deduced that it was probably that Rez was going to play A ramp. Maybe it was a low HP play, so he's going to take a risk like that. And that even if he decided to try to come up from A ramp on the first defuse, he would have to make a footstep before he could peek Xantares. So Xantares knows he can just hold that, and it's up to Rez to now make noise.
Oh, fast one. Xantares just thrown out into middle. This is still versus guns. And a slight wallbang created because I believe the smoke is blocked. That's why there was a gap there. Major's able to obscure it. If it wasn't, it's the fault of NiP for that gap to be. And then, of course, a potential traded situation was just thrown away into what is now an awful situation. 5 versus 2, and potentially 8 rounds down on a side that has shown them success in the most recent of their games.
Space Soldiers getting hyped up for tomorrow.
Yeah, like, do they realize the crowd's not here yet, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, there's definitely Turkish fans at home that are probably extremely stoked to see that they're in good form, especially after the very unfortunate circumstances at the major.
Of course.
Hardstyle fragged hard, but I think they are a little bit better off with Engine. And it seems like it's been a series of unfortunate events for Space Soldiers, and they've had mixed results and also not many results in total, the amount of matches they could play. But right now, they're looking like the team that I think they expected to be in the last 3 weeks. Face it. So now it's just Get Right in a clutch situation, comfort zone for him. But Xantares isn't afraid. He's there jumping up on default, hitting headshots. I'd definitely like to take a look at his HSP. I feel like he's nearly 100% of his kills have been headshots at this point, but an instrumental part of every round here for Space Soldiers, and they are showing no signs of slowing down.
Xantares currently holds a 208 average damage per round.
Holy smokes.
That's through the roof. 19-2. I mean, you talk about maybe this being the Space Soldiers we would have come to hope to see. Well, this is the Xantares that some people talk about, right?
Yeah. This is actually the map, I think, with his most watched demo was him playing Connector on this map. And you can watch this cut-up VODs on YouTube. That's actually really informative to watch POVs of players playing spots. And Xantares is one of the best Connector players on the planet. He's obviously gotten around on this map, even going on fast flanks, pushing things early. But for the most part, he's been the king of the A site, and more specifically the left side of the site. Major constantly throwing this Molotov. I think at a certain point, he made the most of it last round. I don't think that he should expect that they'll fall for it again. They've got to approach mid in a different way. But Space Soldiers have also fortified their attack by having Paz push out past this, and now Rez spotting over the top of the smoke that was thrown by the CTs from spawn. But this all seems like a bait to try to get NiP to push into it.
I think this round we're going to see that pacing maybe settle down just a little. I feel like NiP have been being bullied in the most recent of rounds.
Puberty.
It's going well, I think.
Never heard that about puberty before.
The setup could be going well, too, if this pop flash hits the timing. And now that you hear that presence over towards the top of middle, it's done. Rez just denied anything whatsoever. One of the rounds as well where NiP don't have that much to lose, right? We are just talking armor and some pistols. But regardless, maybe wanting to see where Space Soldiers decide to throw their efforts, whether or not Space Soldiers want to dictate and assume map control, or whether they're just content in sitting back. But as we saw towards middle, it's all about timing, right? There was a pop flash towards ramp, nobody spotted, pop flash at the top of mid, that's where they get their kills, and now they sit comfortably in this 5v4.
Yeah, the hard part is that Space Soldiers have been taking over mid constantly, and that's just put NiP in a very difficult position. Where now they're forced to be, but they feel like it's understood what they're going to try to do.
Couple kills from Calyx and Paz, so the B site holds strong. The rotates are even stronger. Xantares comes in for his fee, taxes a couple of kills, pushing him to 21 frags now in 9 rounds.
That's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, can we take a look at the ADR? We
still over 200.
Over 200 ADR. I mean, as the rounds roll on, you expect this number to drop because no one finishes games with 200 ADR. But this is still, I mean, if you played this pug in the morning before you went to school and you had 200 ADR at 9 rounds, I mean, you'd be happy for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I think, you know? And here he is doing it at a LAN event.
And if somebody does that to you, that's when you just don't go to school. Okay, get back in bed, call it quits.
You Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you're just pretending to throw up.
See if
You've watched that movie, right?
Which one?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
I'm calling you out on this because Connor doesn't watch movies or TV. Oh.
Did he just take his time while Get Right was fully flashed to look for another player?
I think he didn't realize for just half a moment.
All right.
But that would have been cooler.
That would have been cerebral.
For sure.
Regardless, it's still an effective situation. Think back to just the previous round where we saw those flashbangs being thrown towards the top of middle. Just previous to that flash, they did the same thing on ramp. Exactly what we just saw in this round. So they're recycling the plays as seen in the previous round, and this time it works elsewhere. Beautiful flashbang, and just a little bit quicker, just before that minute mark, which is where we saw mid unfold in the 9th. But alas, the 10th to the 45-second mark. Once more, we find NiP playing off of the back foot.
Major's going to be up in the smoke, as we've seen him do. And I really just want to follow Xantares in the later part of this round to just figure out how he's going to react to this B push that's coming in. As Paz going to take first contact.
He's able to get himself two, not the third. It's the Opper that shuts him down. Calyx up in the apps will clean up with a double. I mean, the headshots, the aim, it is all pristine at this moment, Launders. We are at 10-0. We have nothing on the board for NiP. Nothing at all. And I mean, how many times have we watched them go down into 4v5 scenarios? You're talking about a team with a 31.7% win percentage in 4v5s on Mirage.
That's a failing grade.
It is. And that's a failing grade when they're playing well, not alone, you know, or let alone in a situation like this where you're already down 10-0. I feel like that 4v5 win percentage suddenly plummets even further.
Mentally, I'm moving on to other storylines at this point. First 16-0 of the tournament.
You said it.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I did just jinx it, but you know what? They're as rare as they are for a reason. I find that at the hardest part is that when you have a competent team versus another competent team, as the rounds roll on, there's just such a high percent chance that someone's going to be able to figure out one crack in the defense at a certain point. Problem is, it doesn't look like NiP are fragging today, so Xantares just, I mean, I don't know. This is unreal.
What's fun about this as well is that you know we can talk stats with NiP. We can throw that everywhere, but we have no LAN matches with this 5-man Space Soldiers core in the last 3 months.
This might actually be an interesting execute. I don't know if they're going to throw these nades right away because we have 2 people in upper B. So unless they threw some kind of fake, or they might just do like a really loose connector split. 4 players on A though for a Space Soldiers. They've given up mid. They're ready for this.
Oh man, let's see how it does unfold. We've got Smoke's Deep Palace, we've got Get Right being thrown over to the top of the Tetris. Still the crossfire between Sandwich and Bottom Balk is set, but one side's been blown apart, and then Major falls. He's been caught off on that rotation. Still, Calyx resides inside of the site itself. On the cross is where he'll attempt to kill them. Engine even, just floating around the triple stack. He gets blindsided from Get Right. There's the second great kill from Engine. That's beautiful spray control. But now the biggest question is, can Xantares take us into an astronomical clutch? He is playing out of this world. But this would be a whole new height. Two players pinned behind boxes, knows where one is at least, and he wins the duel immediately. He is sitting on enough health to do this. 79 at this moment.
I think he's actually quite confident right now that he's cleared right side sight. So now the smoke's going to go down. That'll definitely bait a peek, and he can catch the cross here as he just waits for players to go onto the bomb. Oh, he's going to pretend like he hasn't tapped. And at this point, with the time ticking low, he's got to finally do that. Now they're going out wide. First player goes down. He's going to get back on the bomb. The spray hasn't come out quite yet. And Zanteris gets the frag as well. Will he be able to defuse? He has enough time. Oh my God.
So close. So close. And despite his best efforts blowing NiP to pieces, he too falls down with that bomb. And finally, NiP on the board. But how does that feel? To get your very first on a T side at the 11th mark with nobody surviving, no cash, no coffers. Beautiful attempt by Zanteris. I mean, he literally gets that down to what feels like nanoseconds.
Nanoseconds. Oh, he was stoked about it. He thought he won. He's like, dab me up, boys.
Let's see if NiP can continue the little bit of momentum that they have just started to establish. And
it's nice to see how elated they are, though, right?
Yeah.
Even in those moments, they're like, oh, we didn't win the round. We still feel amazing about this. And
that is still a win.
And that's 300 ADR in that round for Zanteris to help pad that stat. What a 1v3 that would have been. So smoke was actually either straight up missed or that was a connector smoke thrown. Engine gets killed on the push at A, and that opens up options for NiP, who have had a lot of trouble finding that initial 5v4 on a lot of these rounds. And now, with the congregation of most of the terrorists at mid, they've got to re-scramble and figure out what bomb site they're going to attack and how they're going to split it. So they've left one at chair, they've got 4 in upper B, and Space Soldiers have already made a gamble rotate back to A, expecting a split.
Yep, this is a good call by the Ninjas. Trying to work this timing before Space Soldiers get wind of this potential B setup. We should get somebody coming back to at least keep eyes on it, and it will be Major. Op up, smokes down. And so he goes in. Misses the first shot, and he's not. Oh my goodness. Supposed to retreat. He dies on the repeat. Paz gets himself a headshot towards Dennis. So there is some casualty for NiP at the very least here, but they do, of course, have that late mid lurk from Forrest. He's been able to cut off a very crucial portion of the map. Catwalk not in question. And therefore, I don't think this after plant is either. It's going to be NiP with a second.
Yeah, and obviously Space Soldiers thinking about saving here. It was clear that Zanteris is fully aware of the fact that NiP did take control of mid initially, and so planted their flag with Forrest staying there to catch anybody rotating off to the site. But the simple split made sense. I think one interesting thing was seeing Major flee from the site so quickly after taking his initial shot, not expecting that any players had crossed before the one he shot at. But if he had stayed at MP Pillar, I wonder if his teammate in window could have helped him and they would have defended. And if he had gone back into kitchen successfully and not re-peeked and died, were they still planning on pulling off the retake, or were they just going to straight up save? I'm not too sure. I think that there was always a temptation to stay and fight to try to do as much damage as possible because of the economic disparity. But here's, yeah, Zanteris getting killed by Forrest, who was aware that if they're going to retake, you know, a couple of players would definitely come through mid.
Good nail in the coffin at that point. Remember, middle is also where they got their first frag of the round, so mid very crucial in that most recent one. The 1 turn 2, as NiP have now doubled up on the score. And you can check, of course, the firepower bar at the top of the screen. That's going to be showing the amount of money invested into the weaponry and therefore firepower of the buy. Very straight down the middle, even keel. We've got a NiP on all cylinders. But how hot can they stay for how long? This is a nice boost.
You've seen Austin Powers at least?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so when you said NiP on cylinders, I imagined the robot shooting out of. How well do you remember the movie?
Are you referring to the breast machine guns?
The breast machine. Thank you
right.
for just saying it plainly. I guess that is a scientific term. I could have.
Yes.
I could have said that without feeling guilty about it. It's interesting how you can just make something taboo by being worried.
You shouldn't worry, Launders.
I always feel safe when I'm next to you.
You shouldn't.
Just like all of Space Soldier's teammates when they're next to Xanteris. Coming out hot in this round with a first kill. And it's the CT rotations are manic. I mean, anytime anything happens where we're getting so many different forms of adjustment, and
Beautiful.
That one does not pay off. Amazing shot from Dennis.
It's an important kill as well. Remember, this was a 5v4 into the favor of Space Soldiers. We talked about that near 30% win percentage. Well, here's one, Lunders. Little Molotov to ensure that nobody could have flanked them in from Palace. They will still be wary of it. Obviously, if they're Molotoving the backside, then they should have eyes on the entrance. Or fire. Flames will keep someone isolated in there. And great cover from Dennis. I believe that's his 3rd kill of the round, all off the AK headshots. So a little bit of individual form starting to shine through here from NiP, but maybe the big question is it's not whether or not NiP can contest on Mirage, but just that nobody could contest with a flaming Xanteris.
Yeah. It feels like there's a little bit of gambling going on with NiP, like when they're making an adjustment, but I think that's because they see that Space Soldiers are also gambling, making it very difficult to try to like make a calculated guess or like a really well-informed decision as to like what site they're supposed to go to. But overall, like the executes seem just as organized. Now they're starting to hit shots a little bit more,
Exactly.
right? Which is nice to see for sure. And Space Soldiers obviously got to be kind of concerned. Is that 3 in a row now for NiP? Or
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so they're looking to grab. Oh, we didn't mention the on fire meter. Space Soldiers hitting that like in the first 5 rounds of the game.
Yeah, straight 10-0. What happens if it's 10-0? Which is obviously getting 5 rounds in a row activates the on fire.
That's maybe the blue flame meter.
Yeah, there should definitely be
15 rounds in a row could be the white flame meter.
White flames? Yeah, that is the hottest
Hot as
part
the
of
sun.
the
Right.
Good thing you have ideas.
That's all I'm good for. NiP testing the B halls once again. They've been really good at these contact entries. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to pull it off once again. It'll take some good counter nades preeminently from Space Soldiers to deny them from taking the site.
A frag grenade that could have most certainly chunked the health of Calyx, but it does come up a little shy. So no fragmentation in his teeth. Continuous little creep from Lekro at the bottom of mid. A smoke that's meant to deny get right in entry, but it will be the headshot of Calyx instead. He decides to go right through it, charges onwards.
Man, he oriented himself really quickly, huh?
Yeah.
Getting up on that dresser. Seemed like he was ready to get that entry.
He's got his dancing shoes on. And Paz continues to hold catwalk. He has been very patiently here with his teammates rotating between market and the bomb site itself, so he must be aware of a potential contact, and he definitely hears Forrest moving around inside the ladder room. Now, this should be a second player confirmed, and he's not able to get the kills, but the damage is significant, and Calyx's position, despite low health, could very easily catch a player off guard, and if he's lucky, maybe 2. Xanteris will draw the attention away, chipping at the health of NiP as they enter the site, but it is checked unsuccessfully. Rez goes down, and Calyx strikes for the double.
That's amazing. That is a spot that is so unlikely for someone to be in that late into a round, and it's just a spot you don't often check because it's not often you would boost someone on that box, right? It's a one-trick pony to some extent, especially because it's actually so favored for the terrorist to clear that. And Calyx immediately hits the headshot, so Rez doesn't stand a chance. Dennis is relying on him, whether he knows it or not, for Rez to make sure that that kill is had. And so the spray control was so on point, and I don't know, it was mechanics that bailed him out in that situation, but Space Soldiers pick up another one, and we move into the last round of the half now. 11-3 for Space Soldiers.
Xanteris, good smoke work, just putting himself halfway down the staircase. Very difficult to see his head, but he will be taken down, and Major reaggresses from the window. Catching Forrest, who's replaced by Get Right. Again, he's going to be on the forefront of these smoke plays, trying to get himself weaseled within his opponents. But now he serves as an anchor. He could become that late round insurance policy for Rez to go join his teammate in Palace or over towards ramp. He wants to catch the rotators coming from B. Remember, think of the rotations we've seen from Space Soldiers, the franticness within them. Those are the kinds of fast, overzealous rotates that can certainly give you kills if you are Get Right.
spots for the CTs are amazing right now. They don't have anything to worry about connector, but that's not a spot they need to be concerned about at the moment, especially with a player watching the back of window. So the late flank out of jungle won't matter if Paz holds his position.
Patience, the name of the game. That fight is occurring now, and Get Right has gone past. So at least it's information given to Space Soldiers. They know what's up. And Engine drops the bomb. That could be the nail in the coffin here in the 15th round. It's the final of NiP's T side, and it falls on to Dennis. 25 seconds. And unfortunately for him, no one overstepping boundaries just yet until they strike at the same damn time. 12-3. Excellent T side, CT side from Space Soldiers.
Definitely, and there was things that were good about NiP's T side, but ultimately with 3 rounds, I mean, it's as close to a game over as it possibly could be. And on that last round, we saw basically a small example of why that half went so well for Space Soldiers, where they made constant adjustments. They always looked for information, and because they went to seek that information and took like these kind of calculated risks, it paid off because they knew exactly what to do with it. Now, in that spot, there was a small time where them being too peak happy almost got them killed. Like Major jumping up on ticket to watch connector. That wasn't actually a spot that needed to be accounted for because they had a passive setup ready to handle anybody walking into A, but NiP missed that timing. And it was only a small window in the first place.
Very fast T-side. Look at them go. Space Soldiers already thrown out the window of the apartments. Lekro to the back door of Market, sees that they flooded forward, but it will, of course, be Dennis with the first kill. An anchor in the pistol rounds of NiP. He and Lekro continuously standing side by side again. It is now Xantares who's died, but with the bomb planted, they are waiting for NiP to come moving forward, and Calyx could get the double. However, he is denied. It is Engine, alone and isolated, as 3 CTs come stampeding forward. He too will drop, giving NiP a chance on the defense.
It's so interesting to think about this site as a site that you would retake, but on a pistol round where there's so little utility, there's not like an op in the site to make sure that no one can come out of market. It might make sense to set up like NiP did and play the long game and eventually set yourself up to defuse the bomb. But as a CT holding the B site, it can be quite difficult, and you often see someone jumping up on the van getting completely run over after 1 flash comes over top and 5 terrorists start pushing down the hallway. So I quite like how NiP dealt with that, and even though it looked like Space Soldiers got so much map control really early on, NiP just started coming out with the kills immediately thereafter.
Fast clash to the top of mid, cleaned up by Forest. A bunch of terrorists cut down like trees. Dennis seals the deal.
I like that. That's good.
Thank you.
Just bring that up in case anyone missed it.
See, I like to be sly, but you're a very blunt person.
I'll bring it up.
I learned that very quickly with you.
Yeah. If you say it and you wanted to be sly, I'm going to bring it up.
Nice 3 frags for him. Dennis, of course, was the other window player, so it is the 2 guys allocated to the windowsill that just gunned down all 5. But speaking of gunning down, now we've got guns. Space Soldiers have invested into this, and Rez very quickly gets himself into the cubby of underpass.
They had no one check this. Oh, Major.
Setting a smoke.
Yeah, he's about to get the debate right now. Oh my gosh, Rez just missing that barely. Now, this might look like a fake, actually, if Engine plays this correctly. Rez now moving back to the A site. High concentration of CTs that are still in B, and there's so many smokes going down, as we can see on the mini-map. So I wonder what is going through the heads of NiP right now. They didn't see anybody else.
That's big. Calyx, he just got the kill, but remember, that's the bomb carrier. Had he not dropped bomb, they would have seen it. With that kill, which confirms the suspicions of Rez. And while they know that there's somebody towards ramp, they have no clue that that could have been bomb. However, it didn't push on. It decided to stay back. And in fact, we have Engine in a very curious position towards B apps as well. So there's still an uncertainty here, but there is most certainly a kill from Xantares. A second? Not going to be a third, you'd think. I mean, the flash has gone over the wall and he's been afforded his life. Some way, he has still remained standing, but he lost Calyx. And that's the bomb carrier most importantly. There is 35 seconds left and you need to retrieve this device. Sit very clearly in the eyes of Dennis. Lekro with a sidearm out will be traded sure enough, but it's a 1v3 for Dennis to have to deal with. Again, time is playing against them, but Space Soldiers could very easily just have him convinced to fall back.
They're going to sniff this out, and once they see that nobody's peeking CT, they're going to be extremely nervous about a big flank. Maybe even happy to know about that, actually, because they've gotten this information now, so Xantares is obviously going to take care of Connector at this point. Dennis has made his way back, which is obviously one of his options, but Paz is too nice with that AK. Clean headshot and closes it out, but man, you've got to finish your meals. Xantares, there was no way that he was supposed to get that second kill. I mean...
Nope. And if he had wanted to, he could have continued that fight towards CT and potentially got the third, right? He walks away and Calyx dies because of it.
Wow.
But that's just an utter denial.
Triggered phase of res, and for good reason. That's tough. He gets flanked in CT spawn. He's got a pistol out. We don't even know what he was trying to set up to do, but obviously not expecting that play.
That's an early one for Space Soldiers on this T side, looking to shut down the hopes of NiP, who are not very well equipped in the situation. Already there's a casualty here versus them. Luckily, Dennis gets Calyx right back. And again, it's going to be Dennis to get himself a bit of a multi-frag. Lekro has gone unnoticed. He has gone unseen, but he will soon be heard. Once that M4 starts to fire off, it's confirmed, and now he's dead. Deagle for Get Right, sure enough, could come in from the catwalk, but the Molotov denies him anything further. And a third missed jump from NiP, unless this was intentional. Actually, yeah.
It almost never is. But you can kind of try to play it off.
All right.
You can play it. The people play it off, but...
It's like, you know, I don't want to point out a third one.
I really wish they remove the underpass so that we would see how people look when they try to play it off. But
yeah. I definitely meant to go underpass at the beginning of this. Who doesn't throw ops down there?
I love that long rotate. Sometimes you just need a scenic route to
need a breather.
Mentally reset. Yeah. That B rush is worth going back in a demo to watch. The way that they threw the smokes on the site. It was interesting because NiP for a lot of it didn't get caught off guard. Like I think immediately we had I think Calyx come out with the MAC-10 and barely win a duel versus a Deagle who was waiting for him. But he still has the advantage of peeking first, and there's always a thought in the back of your mind, maybe they're not using the smoke to come around it. But they successfully smoked off fence. They got out the window. Everyone jumped out the window without being seen, and there were 3 CTs in the site, so that's how you know they were using their utility effectively. Also, the chain flashes pushed everyone back at first, so that helps corral the CTs in a position that you want them to be in. And now NiP are on just a completely busted by Forest here. Has some enemies that he knows are very close to him, and he's got a CZ, a very dangerous weapon at this range, but can't actually do anything about the players that are here.
Dennis, very crucial headshot there to come off of the scout. The only remaining primary gun, it is the back of Paz that has been scattered with CZ shots, which is good enough to deny some kind of mid-control. It does force the player there to wrap all the way around through spawn, but it does still give Space Soldiers a 3v3. This is a dangerous plant. Excellent shot from Dennis. He gets the support player down, not the planter, who will have further support because that rotator has arrived. So the bomb's not down. The job's not done. But at least it hasn't been lost. Thrown out into the open. Great shot from Lekro. Better one from Forest, because now this clutch is very winnable. He has the health advantage, and he knows that Calyx was just seen on the site. It's timing. How do they play the timing? Because Calyx could fake a B rotate, or he could legit just go.
Just gonna walk right into it. Oh, almost crouches under the crosshair of Forest, but redemption for the man who had such a bad time there just 2 rounds ago. Consolation prize for NiP.
It's a little something. It's a 6th round to the board.
Yeah, it's a long road back. It's cobblestones, they've got no shoes.
Luckily for them, however, remember that in the previous round when we had the T-side win, it's not as though they did so with plenty of cash in their coffers, so they are bottomed out.
For those of you joining us from Stream 1, or Stream A, the original stream, we're having a game where Space Soldiers have just hit the ground running. They were, I think, up 6 to 10-0 at one point. And can we get an ADR check? ADR for Xantares, who was actually at over 200 ADR in the first half.
8 rounds in, he was over 200 ADR, and now he still, at this point, sits at 150.
Oh my God.
So incredible individual performance continuing, not showing any signs of slowing down either. That's the beauty, right? Sometimes you get that quick 20 bomb launders and then it just disappears, but he has not faded out. 32-9, least amount of deaths for his team as well. So
32-9. If this game goes 16-14, he could break the kill record. Which I don't know what it is, but...
but it's breakable, damn it.
You know he has a good chance.
So did NiP in this round. We've got guns back in their hands. Remember, they just
Oh,
survived
I
with
think
the
it was
broken
Config, 47 kills versus Complexity on in a qualifier, but that might have been not even on LAN.
Oh, poor Dennis, so blinded by the flashbangs and the pace from Space Soldiers. Sure enough, it is put back into even keel, and Engine looks like he just wants to creep into the site. Xantares gets an excellent kill from Palace, and even though Engine's been spotted, GetRight can do nothing about it. What a wallbang straight down through the floor, forces Forrest to go over, and forces him into another disadvantageous clutch, but he has won these.
Oh.
And he knows the planter has just walked off site, but he can't win the fight, and that's 15 rounds for the T side.
NiP knocking on death's door, and even in a situation where they had very formidable spots on the site, people seem to be delaying just long enough. They couldn't put it together. Xantares is just such a thorn in their sides right now, and that's the wall bang that Connor pointed out. Absolutely no line of sight, just right through the floor.
Is it still a wall bang if they shoot through the floor?
Floor bang?
Is it? That doesn't just sound as...
Oh, man. I didn't want you to... I wish you just didn't point that out, because now I have to actively think about it every time that happens in the future. Thanks a lot.
Sorry, man.
Can't we just enjoy things?
I ruined it. You'll think about it. I'll take this round.
All right.
Most notably, because I want to talk about that XM1014. GetRight has the shotgun.
One of the best spots that you could possibly use it in. He's got a headshot angle here, so this is the reason that people hang out behind the bricks. Obviously impervious to bullets, and you can kill in one shot at that distance. It is an absolute laser cannon.
Yeah, I feel like some people forget sometimes how much damage an XM10 headshot does, even at that distance. You don't need to go for the gut shots. Go right for the head, you know? Pellets in the noggin. Get it done quick.
But overall, clearly a symptom of what NiP, what state NiP are in right now.
That's big for Forrest.
That was
Remember,
nice.
last time that they were on a broken buy like this, it was actually Forrest shutting down the middle to window jump that enabled them to win the round. So now that he gets that kill again with a CZ and upgrades his hardware, he's looking good. He's fallen back into the B bomb site where Lekro certainly needed help, but he has the element of surprise. A blindside from the Deagle and a trade frag from Forrest, taking down the top fragger of Space Soldiers, leaving it on Engine, who's not looking much stronger than a 4-cylinder at this point because it is just 2 HP. 3 opponents. Dennis takes him down.
That was nice, and one of the most elusive beasts for NiP in this game has just been simply getting the 5v4. That can be enough to rock your opponents, but closing out from there, I mean, it's still its own beast, especially with a team like Space Soldiers, who are not going to pretend like, or who are not going to play scared in situations where they go down a man. They're going to make it just as difficult the entire way through, and as we can see, that part barely fitting on the screen with Xantares skyrocketing past the 100 mark, which is largely considered exceptional for any new viewers out there.
I pray for you, GetRight, because there are a lot of opponents about to come barreling into him, and the players behind should be blinded by Engine's flash, so it should be GetRight trying to deal with this push alone. Swaps out to the utility and will allow for them to trickle down. However, they've been shot from the sky, except Major, who's still denied his plant. Just managed to get past GetRight for a second.
See how nice that is when you're so in tune with what your team is covering for you, where GetRight can fall off the balcony, doesn't have to worry about anybody going up to the ladder because he's got a teammate in connector that can shoot them coming out. And if they do make some crazy strafe jump out to the left, that's on GetRight. And so they do a good job of compartmentalizing their kills. But even still, it's just an anti-eco. It's one of the few that they've been able to get themselves in this game. There's a 6-round difference for Space Soldiers, and they look fierce as ever as they come out with another B-rush.
We have seen these faster rounds work out for them, so let's see if NiP can handle the heat. The flames fade, the smokes plume, and the kills continue. Still for NiP, this one is locked down. Nearly flawless. Lekro, 1 health is enough.
On a round where you have very little utility, having the knowledge that you're going to rush B and you've made tons of noise running up into B apps, especially on Mirage, where you typically have a player walk GetRight, which is where Forrest is right now, funnily enough. He'll listen for the rush, and if he hears multiple pairs of footsteps, they're going to throw counter utility. But typically, if you're going to have like a really simple round, like an eco, you throw your 1 flash, you keep a smoke in hand in your 3rd or 4th player, and they use that to specifically to extinguish any Molotovs that might be used versus your rush, so you can continue. Because if you end up stopping and then going later, you have a round like we just witnessed, where Space Soldiers have very little chance of getting in.
Missed shot by Rez, going to allow for the cross to happen. At least the first stage of it. Frag grenades, softening up the targets. Rez, though, great little bit of a gap in the smoke, makes the most of it. Drops Paz, takes the man advantage, and NiP looking to hold on to this as they also look to hold on the map. But Rez gets himself a second. Third not going to happen. Excellent flash. Did not look away. He wanted to nail that kill. Probably knowing, of course, that his teammates are here to support and that they'll hold off on the cross. He commits to the kill attempt instead. And things slow down a moment.
Yeah. Well, this is actually where Space Soldiers have found the most success, when they have been given respect. And there's Forrest playing patiently no matter how well he is overall, which is always a good sign. Engine getting CT control means that they now have an option to plant the bomb, and the round has been opened up. But Get Right stopping that.
All dead. Defuse for Get Right himself. So 11th for NiP, and I mean, this is big for them because in the, again, most recent of their wins here on Mirage, it was always the T side where they happened to start, and it's always the T side that they performed very well. Sometimes even getting double digits. This is a good comeback from them. This shows a little bit of growth on their Mirage play.
As you mentioned, averaging over 8 rounds on
Yeah,
their T sides.
8 and 10.
So certainly a good sign, and we can now kind of see the beast being tamed. The ADR slowing down a little bit here for Xantares. And even though this game is getting closer and he was off to such a fiery start, hitting 32 kills in the beginning stages of this second half, that's kind of off the table at this point. Now they must be sweating. Now they have to think about how are we actually going to close this out. But even still, NiP are at least getting some traction, at least like look more solid, and the tournament format is a little bit more forgiving for them.
Yeah,
that way.
Of course, right? 5 rounds of best of ones, dictating our 2 finalists. But the one thing you can't account for, I think, is a player like Xantares just going off in one single round. Winning one round is not enough to win a game until you've sat on 15, which is where they are. This may not be live.
No, this is definitely not live. We might have a bit of a tech issue. I would love to, if we do come back to camera, throw on my traditional Turkish garb so I can finally show you guys.
He's been. This is honestly.
I'm not counting on a tech issue or anything.
This is all that Launders has been talking about.
I went to a bazaar and I got this for $6, $6 US, because I think the Turkish lira crashed recently, so our dollar is very strong. And even though the Canadian dollar is not as strong as the US dollar, I think we still have like really good returns. So hopefully this is an extended tech pause and we come back to camera.
The one time Launders wants tech pauses is when he has new clothes to show you.
Yeah, so every time.
When are we going to get a boxer parka?
I need to take
or poncho, excuse me.
A poncho, yeah, that would be cool. Heard it here first. Boxer poncho. It's in the works. So match medic going to come through. Unfortunately, we'll have to get back to the game.
I mean, you can keep it on. I'm sure it's going to come to us at the end of the match.
It's a little bit hot in here, so.
Fair enough. That's how you know it's good quality.
And also, I expect NiP to bring this the distance.
We're going to OT, and our first map says Mohan.
Okay, so what are we looking at? 3 AKs converted. They've seen the light. That is NiP. In AWP exchanges hands. I actually felt like the way that Rez played the AWP and CT spawn was kind of risky. The smoke going down versus an eco, you know it's very common for teams just flash through that smoke. And even when you hear an op go on cycle, you immediately think that's an opportunity on a round where I don't have a lot to lose to come barreling through that like Rambo and take out potentially an op and then take CT spawn and then have an op and CT spawn to kill rotate. Like huge value. And Rez was by himself. And I think the reason they didn't push through the smoke is because they gave NiP more credit and didn't expect that someone would do that purposefully. To take a blind shot through the smoke, go on cycle, and be alone. And then after that, Rez took another shot on the player that you highlighted, had flashed him with this like kind of lazily overhand lob, and then risked getting a blind timing kill on that player, wide swinging on him, and then died.
Yep.
That's a huge amount of value to kind of put at risk, I feel like.
To just forfeit.
Yeah.
To the most lapsadaisical of flashbangs.
Lapsadaisical, that's the word I was looking for.
I doubt it.
It was in there somewhere.
Let's get that set piece back out from Space Soldiers. Just trying to get themselves into those frantic 2v2, 3v3 type scenarios, I'm sure. And a classic A execute, I feel, is normally pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult for the defenders on the bomb site to really hold off for big multi-frags. A lot of players constantly around you, not much cover either, and the cover you do have is made of wood. Easily bangable. Rez, he shoots right through smoke. I mean, he's been doing a great job, whether it be on Ticket or now this round, the jungle side, of denying the crosses. Major saw Dennis move.
Oh.
But he misses his chance to kill Forrest, and he's going to be punished for it. NiP with what looks like a convincing shutdown. Unless this 2 versus 5 miraculously works its way back into fruition. But it's just not going to happen. No way.
Oh, wow.
And here we have it, the on
NiP.
fire meter.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, I would have liked to know, actually, that how many rounds in a row they've won at this point, and that's 5 for NiP. So we've got we've got the game that we thought was going to be the shortest of the 3 because of how quickly and how fiery of a start the Space Soldiers had. Now the other 2 games have actually finished, so it's just between Space Soldiers and NiP. All eyes on this match right here. And I can totally see a world where NiP bring this back to OT, but there where we had a classic A take, one of the defining points of Mirage over all other maps is the millions of ways that people have innovated over years in taking a site that everybody knows how to defend. You know, there's so many different ways that you can throw these smokes down that you can use to keep it interesting. And one of the most common adjustments that people will make to spice things up is to send someone mid on the late rotate. And Major actually played it quite well, I thought. He saw a small opportunity to kill someone in connector, but he didn't get hung up on it.
Exactly.
And in fact, he thought that someone might have been peering over top of the smoke. He was correct about that. Forrest was there. But then he simply made a mechanical flub and then couldn't kill him, and Forrest took advantage of that. But I only highlight that to say that even in that round, you know, there was a chance Space Soldiers just closed it out right there and then.
Yeah, that defense would have been obliterated from behind, so very close call. But no cigar. Not yet for Space Soldiers, who would love to pick up this first win, I'm sure. 3 chances they will have. This one, not much of a chance. Remember, force buy on the table. Boost inside of the site.
We see such a difference, just such a contrast with the way NiP are playing their CD side, where they've calcified into their positions and are all holding spots they know are solid for a 5v5 setup, and it's up to Space Soldiers to crack that open, and waiting is not going to change that.
No, because I don't think Get Right and Co. are going to go on the offensive like we did see with Space Soldiers. It was kind of in this minute mark on the CT side of the Turkish team that they would go on these flashbang plays. They'd start perusing to the top of middle over towards the ramp. And that is not the case. This is a very patient setup from NiP. It's off of the flashbang that Ensign does get out with 8 health.
Oh. Forrest? Does he get caught off guard here? Not quite. Enough damage was dealt from the pre-nades at least.
Now Calyx is going to get desperate. Does catch the side of Rez. That is damage, sure enough. But Paz is the first to pick up a kill. And it all begins to get shut down. Calyx alone, even if he wants to try and get this plant in, will be swarmed. But he at least fires one back. And the fire continues to burn for NiP. 2 rounds away from forcing OT.
Yeah, we're getting closer to that blue flame. And Space Soldiers did do a pretty good job of trying to create chaos with very little utility. They caused a stir in rotations, as we could see. It kind of displaced Forrest's aim, and he almost got caught in a position where he maybe wouldn't have been able to see him on his screen. And suddenly we're starting to see some frustration from Space Soldiers. The first time we've come back to a player cam when we've seen that much kind of dismay in the eyes of a player. And now it's Major here to kick things off. Dennis actually fallen back out of mid. Connector is Molotov, excuse me. And that's going to deny any CTs from trying to push out and seek information.
Molotov blown up. Not going to force Get Right out of position, so Calyx has to be wary. He's going to lose the duel. Sure enough, it is straight back, which is good enough. They could have gone for a plant potentially because the CT rotate is only now arriving, and it has been blocked off by flames. Now forced back by flashes. And there you have it, folks. The bomb is down, and the retake is on. If we look at the after plant positioning too, it looks very good. We've got a player back behind Firebox, one inside of Sandwich, and a double ramp-up setup, which will confirm there is no long flank. So eventually, based on timing, Space Soldiers will turn all of their heads towards this swarm of ninjas. Doubling up on CT, coming 2 off of the staircase. They are starting to fall and starting to fumble. They nearly push this all the way back, but this is where it ends.